What's good, y'all? My name is Dylan Green, and this is Real Notes, a space dedicated to blurring the cultural and artistic lines between rap and film. I'm here to chop it up with everyone from rappers and producers to journalists and video directors about their relationship to movies and how, if at all, film inspires their craft. My guest this week is Buffalo rapper, singer, and producer Chango4. We spoke about the documentary You Cant Kill Me, the prevalence of meme culture on and offline, The Ring, being John Malkovitch, Alejandro Jodorowsky's Holy Mountain, and Sangre, her fascination with carpentry, the Buffalo music scene, genre blending, her relationship with rapper-producer Way Too Wavy Baby, and her general creative process. Come fuck with us. What's cracking? Welcome back. Hi, everybody. I'm in Texas right now. This is the first time I've recorded an episode of this not at home or at my partner's crib. So this is kind of weird and awkward, but like this desk is nice and like everything is just kind of like set up. Thank you. It's Dylan, CineMasai. I got a lot of names. I do a lot of things. I run around, and I'm talking with somebody else who does a lot of things and runs around a lot. She's a rapper, a singer, producer, a lot of things. She's a lot of things. But we got fucking Buffalo's finest, Chango4, in the place to be. What's cracking?
Hello.
Hi. How you feeling?
I'm doing really well for myself. I'm feeling very good mentally, and I've been doing great. Yeah, I'm in this carpentry program now, like an intensive 12-week program. So it's like, yeah, I make music and all this shit, but I've been trying to equip myself with some, I feel like, very, very important life skills that, speak to me. So I'm like, my body feels good because of it. My mind feels good because of it. I feel like I'm doing good. So it's cool.
That's beautiful. Yeah. You got to diversify your bonds every once in a while. I've been thinking about doing something like that, just
picking up because, a trade or something.
Yeah. Just to have it type shit.
Yeah.
You really could,
Never
but thank you so much for taking the time. I know this was kind of last minute, but I appreciate you taking however much time you have to talk to me today. Like, you already know what it is.
Word.
So let me see. Okay. So let me ask everybody let me ask you the first question I ask everybody who comes on here. What was the last movie or TV show that you watched that you have a strong opinion about?
Shit. Strong opinion. Oh yeah. Actually, the You Can't Kill Me. You can't. The documentary we watched at Nelson's. It's a documentary.
How is that?
Do you know about it? It's on.
I know about it, but I haven't seen it.
It's on Hulu, and I was high, so I don't know if we watched the whole. I think I asked him to turn it off because it was like freaking me the fuck out. And then we left. We were like, it was super captivating because it's things. Basically, I'm drawn to things that are able to explain and depict things that only I've never had conversations about, only thought about. So like, You Can't Kill Me, and that documentary really, it took a deep dive into what mimetic magic is and what all that shit is, and the far left and what they're doing on Reddit with like memes and like mind manipulation and how it dates back, right. And they're tying it into with magic, Egyptian magic. Like, I'm just like, so it touches on all those fucking subjects, and it was like, it's a very, if you don't even understand you have to know what a meme is, like really know it in order to like even want to watch this documentary. Like, I never understood the power of memes really, but watching this documentary kind of like picked, like it lifted up like a little scab that I like had like healed, because like I grew up on Twitter. I transitioned from MySpace, went to Facebook, went to Twitter at the same time, had a Tumblr somewhere, so it was like, and then I went to Instagram and I left all that other shit behind. And I'm like, now I'm on Twitter and Instagram on some like, this is where I talk my shit. This is where I just like shit, like where I promote. But yeah, Twitter has always been like where I would find my memes and like would go reference memes. And I like my friend who's really deep in the meme game. He told me, yeah, all the best memes start at start on Reddit or 4chan, and then they go down to Twitter. Like, I'm like, oh, I don't even know what those other things are. What are you talking about? And I still don't really understand Reddit. I don't really like, I'm not on it. It's hard to navigate for me. But to know that there's like entire communities and people that use this in a different way than we use it on another platform, and like what that means to them, and I guess tying it back to magic and like all that shit, it was kind of overwhelming to watch for me. Wow. Because of how my mind works. So
I can only imagine. And just like I was thinking about this last night. It's crazy you bring it up. Like, how are we gonna like explain memes to people in 20 years? Just like imagine just like being, like we're kind of like living history in the sense that like people are gonna be asking us in 20 years, like, oh, you were there when like memes were like first a thing, and like I'm also like super duper interested in like just like the whole ecosystem, and how like, especially when it comes to social media, like how like every social platform now is just like feeding off the other. Like Twitter feeds off TikTok, TikTok feeds off Twitter, Instagram feeds off everybody, like even Reddit, like Reddit feeds off of everything, like it's just like everything it's just this like omnivorous ecosystem of just like shit posts and like political upheaval and like manic depression type shit, like I'm just so interested in that. So I want to watch the movie. I'm gonna do that at some point.
It's super interesting. It's very niche. I want to see something similar. I want to see another thing similar to that just talks about the social media as a whole and that ecosystem you were just talking about. Cause like, yeah, again, these are things that are so new to us. And even like, it's new to us because we saw what it was before all that shit. Like we knew how people communicated. We saw people communicate prior to cell phones, and like that was like that's cemented in that lifetime. That'll never be able to be replicated or brought back because of technology like does not allow space for that, and you have to create spaces like that now.
Right,
like I'm thinking, events where you have to leave your phone at the door or something and you're just like vibing like in it, like shit like that. I don't know, it's super interesting.
Yeah, nah, I agree. And just, like any opportunity I get to talk about or do a shit post is something that I'm always gonna appreciate because they're just like, it's just like, for anybody who doesn't follow me on Instagram, I do them every Thursday, and they're fun, obviously, but at the same time, it's like, it's just a really nice, like, it's like cathartic in a way that I wasn't expecting. Like I feel like a load lift off myself every time. It's just like exhaling, just like exhaling bullshit. And it's cool. It's weird. I don't like, I'm processing this as like, I like this wasn't prepared at all. Like I just like, damn, memes are crazy. They really just like broke the human brain, like I feel like, and I definitely do, but I feel like we in general just kind of like understand the world differently now, and like, yeah, it's weird. Memes are cool, and yeah.
So yeah, just with that being said, I guess I really appreciate when the media I consume, like specifically artistic, like cinema and like TV shows and movies and shit, I like it when that piece is depicting something that I've already thought but never really articulated myself or heard being articulated.
That's real.
Like if something can depict that on the like how I feel it, I think that's super cool. I think that's when art can speak to me. Like that's when art speaks to me, and I find those moments so good. I find those moments to feel so like I've won a prize. Like this shit is like fire. Like hell yeah, that's it right there. Like I think that's cool.
Yeah, like you were ahead of the. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
Did not.
But yeah, like I just like just like you're like ahead of the curve in that type of way, and like I experience that all the time. That's super duper relatable. So with that said, what's the first movie experience you can remember having? Like it could be at the theater, your cousin's house, it could be anywhere. Just like the first time you remember watching and connecting with a movie.
Honestly, the first thing that came to my mind is probably not the one, but the one that jumped out to me was The Ring, because like I didn't care about horror movies. I think when The Ring came out, I was like I had to be like 9, 10, some shit like that.
It was like early 2000s, yeah.
Yeah, and I had to I was really fucking terrified. I was sleeping over at my uncle's with my cousin, Anna, and her dad had just got the DVD or whatever. He was like, "You guys want to watch a scary movie tonight?" And we were like, "No, yeah, fuck it." And then he showed it to us. We're like, "No," and he's like, "We're gonna watch it." And he just like, and we were fucking terrified. And it was a scary movie at the time. I was very young, but like, you know, I don't know. It was such a that night, that him like, you know, making us watch it and shit, and like us getting over it, him laughing when we were jumping, like that whole thing was something that I remember vividly. And I don't know, watching it again, watching The Ring now, I like the original, the Japanese version. I forgot what it was called, but
I think it's called Ringu, pretty sure.
Yeah. So I really liked that, but like watching it now, I'm just like, it was just all jumps, and like that's really what scared me. I'm like, why is that scary? Like I'm watching shit like like just like stone cold. Like that's funny.
Yeah.
Now, actually, what scares me now is like more psychological stuff. Like that's really what's scary to me. I guess because I have time to think and not react. No.
I feel it. Two things. I remember the first time I saw The Ring, but I more clearly remember the first time seeing The Ring 2 for some reason, because there's like the very end where like where it turns out like Samara is like, she thinks that Naomi Watts is her mom or something, and then like there's the bit where she's just like, "Mommy," and then she just goes, "I'm not your fucking mommy." And it was like that one time where you're just like, like you hear somebody swear in a movie for the first time, and it's just like crazy. But yeah, like that, like The Ring was one of the earliest examples of a horror movie that I've seen too, and just like I remember kind of being so, I just like that. The whole idea of like, you'll watch the tape and die in 7 days, like it just like spread among all the people our age like so quick, and everybody like even if it was one of those things, like if you excuse me, even if you hadn't seen it, everybody was talking about it, so like you just like kind of absorbed it through osmosis, and that's really beautiful to me. I don't know, like I think like horror movies in particular are really good at spreading like wildfire in that way. And well, oh yeah, the psychological horror thing. So have you ever seen Being John Malkovich before?
Yeah, but to me, I guess it is very psychological and kind of freaky, creepy in a way. Creepy in the sense where like, yo, somebody can control your body. Somebody can be in you. Something can be in you, controlling you, like, or like moving you. Because like at one point, one of them like broke through and like literally became John, and like was using his body, not just a, what is that?
A visitor watching.
Yeah, like dominant. So he wasn't submissive in his mind, like he was fully in the body. So I thought it was like a dark comedy. It probably is a dark comedy. Yeah,
definitely.
But like, which for the most part are like very thrillery to me. I'll read them as that, like just the suspense, like funniness.
Yeah, the only reason I think it's kind of freaky is just because like I watched it again recently, and to me it's just like the idea of not having control over your body, and like even the reverse, because like at the end when bro tries to get into when he tries to get back into his body and he winds up in the little girl's mind, and he's just like trapped in there. Like, yo,
oh no,
oh man, the idea of being trapped in someone's head and not being able to get out is like horrifying to me. Just like you said, that passive experience is just crazy.
Oh, that's what you were talking about. Didn't that happen in Black Mirror too?
Pretty sure. I don't remember what episode, but yeah, yeah.
That kind of shit is fucked.
Yeah, like that's horrifying to me. Just like being in someone's body and not being able to control it, and just kind of like being just that's freaky to me. But like it's also like, you know, the movie's like whimsical and funny and kind of like sweet in a weird way. It's like I've never seen a movie like it before or since. It's one of those like all timers for me. That's just like
Sick.
who the like Jesus. But anyway, before I move on, what was the last like psychological horror movie that really tripped you out? Because I'm curious.
Gotta really think about it. Well, honestly, I just recently watched Deep Water, that new Ben Affleck movie.
Yeah.
with Ana de las Armas or whatever her name is. And I thought it was ridiculous. Like complete comedy to me, but it's supposed to be a thriller, psychological thriller between a married couple and like the idea of I don't know, it's a power dynamic. It's a dynamic kind of like thriller where they're in each other's heads and there is murder and shit. So I don't know if I want to like say it because it's like, so should I just talk about the plot?
I mean, it's up to you. It depends, you know. You don't have to if you don't want to, but
yeah. But basically the woman's married to the dude, to Ben Affleck, and he's like, she's openly cheating on him basically, and all their friends see it and they're like, yo, what the fuck, like we don't fuck with her doing that, what are you gonna do? And he's like, I'm fine, nothing's happening, it's okay. But then he ends up like murdering all of her like dudes, and like she's like, after he kills one, like she's on to the next one, boom boom boom. She's like, she's also a sociopath, you know, and it doesn't, wow. And you kind of teeter between feeling bad for him, feeling bad for her, thinking they're both fucking crazy. And it's like, it's a ridiculous movie. Like I wouldn't like suggest anyone to watch it. It's like one of those stupid dumbass movies you watch by yourself.
Right.
But it's like, it fucked me up because it kind of pulled me in. And I think it has that personally has to do with like the actors and shit, and like how that chemistry translates and whatever, if it's able to like make you feel something, I guess. But yeah, that was the last one. It didn't really fuck me up that bad, but I just found it interesting that it was able to like even interest me like that. Right. Officially on the record, the very last one that actually fucked me up and have me not want to watch it again was I'm like brain farting right now, the one with the white, they go on like a Rumspringa or something, like a festival and shit with the flowers and
Midsummer.
Midsommar. Yeah. I don't like that shit, and
yeah,
I don't like that shit, but I like the story. I like what it's like a fucking feminist story basically, like about, yeah, it's cool. But I don't like watching it. It makes me feel uncomfortable.
Yeah, you know, it's definitely not one of those movies you go in because like, oh, like I enjoy this, I'm having a good time watching this. It's like you watch it once, appreciate it, and then maybe watch it again in like 6 years when somebody's like, oh, I've never seen this before, type shit. Like, yeah, okay. Like
yeah, so that one definitely.
Right. Yeah. Nah. All those Ari Aster movies like that and like Hereditary and stuff like that. It's just, yeah, he's something else. I kind of can't stand him sometimes because I think he's kind of pretentious. But when his movies hit, they hit. You know, like yeah, for real. So like as you know, like as you were kind of like growing and just kind of like watching more stuff, like was there a movie that kind of made you fall in love with or maybe not fall in love with movies, but just like something that you watched like when you were younger that just kind of, that was like a moment where you started appreciating film as something more than just like a piece of entertainment, you know, like not even like it doesn't even necessarily have to be like artful. It could just be like something that made you really connect with it in a way that was like not passive, you know?
Yeah, for sure. I have many actually, but damn, I'm like torn. So there's like, because you're saying as a child, right? As a young child.
Yeah. or a teenager, whichever one, you know, like just like any moment that you felt was like the most potent one that made you really stop in your tracks.
Sangre. I was like later teens. It's a Alejandro Jodorowsky film.
Ooh.
And, yeah, so and I ended up watching Holy Mountain like years after I've already fanboyed over like that one specific film, Santa Sangre. Like, so I was like bored at my friend's house one day, and he had left for work, and I was still at his house. I'm like, okay, cool. And so I put on Netflix, and I didn't know what to watch. So I clicked on this shit looked interesting, and I was like completely blown away, like by the storyline, by the direction, the scale of the production itself, and where it was located, probably in Mexico somewhere. Like everything was beautiful, authentic, and like real and weird and dreamlike, nightmarish. It was like all good things in one. Visually fucking pungent, like super cool. I like that it was in Spanish. I mean, his films are usually like multiple, like several like different things going on, like layers of languages and shit. So I really appreciate him for that. But yeah, I just liked how easy it was for me to understand what was going on off rip. Like there was so much going on in the film, so much, like so much, but you still somehow could keep up with it all. It was like almost like a choreographed dance of a movie.
Yeah. And you can really say this. I'm trying to think because I know I've seen Holy Mountain, but no, I haven't. And I gotta fix that. I'm mad at myself.
It's really good.
Because I love Holy Mountain, and like that was like a life-changing thing for me to watch too. So like he's really good at that. Like just like even if you have no idea what's going on, like it's not even just that it's a vibe. It's just like everything just flows, and like it's just kind of like an experience. It's so weird because like the scale is huge, but like everything's also like kind of minimalist too. It's weird. It's just weird the way he makes movies, and I just like. Once again, haven't seen anything like Holy Mountain. I'm sure Santa Sangre is like that too, but like it's just just crazy. Nah, that's yeah. That's such a great answer. Like wow, you know.
Yeah, I was gonna say the Fast and the Furious to be that was my other thing, because honestly it was a movie I watched all the time.
The very first one?
The first one, the very first one. The very first one. Yeah. It's classic.
Those are good movies, you know? Yes. Like I just recently rewatched Too Fast, Too Furious, which I was kind of cruel to when it came out, but nah, man, those are good ass movies.
Yeah, Tyrese's performance in that.
Yeah, that was the one. The rest are kind of whatever. Well, with him in particular, the movies are like to me from like 5 to the latest one. Those are all like super fucking great. But
I stopped watching after Tokyo Drift. I was like, I can't.
That's fine. Yeah, because the fourth one's not good. But 5 through I think they just put out the 9th one last year, and 10 is coming out next year. But like they just let it get even more ridiculous, and like they send Tyrese and Ludacris into space, bro. Like in a car, they go to space. Like it's they just turn them into the Avengers for cars. It's crazy. Yeah, like real Cheech and Chong shit. That's crazy.
Or leprechauns.
Right.
Yeah. That's funny.
Leprechaun in Space is a wild ass movie if anybody hasn't seen that.
No, I don't think so.
Damn. So let's hop to the other side. Like for you, like when did you first fall in love with music, and when did music become a thing that you were when did you fall in love with music?
Definitely like all forever, like since forever. Like yeah, like music has always been a huge thing that I've paid attention to. It's the only thing I could really ever get a grasp on, you know, outside of like most art. Like it didn't speak to me, like other art didn't really speak to me as loud as like calming and healing as music did. So I just always gravitated towards it ever since I can remember. And like my mom, the earliest memories of me listening to music is me listening to my mom's music. Whenever she was blasting, that was what was going. So a lot of Spanish music, a lot of reggaeton, a lot of like salsa, bachata, fucking all that shit. And but also I was in Buffalo, New York, so I was listening to other radio stations, so like hip hop, rap on the radio stations, all eras, current. So like for the time I was growing up, it was like late 90s, early 2000s. So just my influence of music has been really wide, and I went through an emo phase when I was 12, 13. So I just like opened myself up to rock, and through rock I got into like electronic music, and the rest is just literally history, because that also tied into me obsessing over film. And like there was a reason why I loved movies so much growing up, was because there's music, there's sound attached to it, like, and I'm paying attention to that shit. And I'm wondering, like, if I ever end up making a film, I have to make the music, like I have to score it, so I have to learn how to produce. And it kind of, that's what gave me that huge initial push into production. I was like, if I don't know how to produce my own shit, I can't score my own film. I can't really do what I've dreamed of doing since I was a kid, you know? So that's kind of like why. That's definitely a huge why I do what I do.
That's so hard, because my next question was gonna be, was there ever a point where music and film kind of like interacted with each other for you?
They always
so yeah, you know, that's you were already there. That's so beautiful. Like that's why this exists, because these two things just like complement each other and interact and just like amplify each other in such beautiful ways. Like, can you think of any specific examples of stuff that you saw, or like stuff that you heard like in a movie or through music, that kind of like really made that click for you in your brain, like music and film being a thing that can go together?
Well, musicals, like, I know that's corny to say, but like, I used to watch Rent. I didn't really like musicals, like theater musicals, like on stage theater, Broadway shit, until I saw Rent the movie. I saw Rent the movie when I was very young, kept renting it out of the library, and like taking it out of the library and watching it all the time. And I got into watching Broadway musicals through that. Like, I would then go to YouTube and look up Sondheim shit, look up all these Leonard Cohens, look up all their shit and study that shit. Cause that shit is fire. That's like, that's pop music, but like in theater form, you know? Like, that's like, they're the best writers in that game. And I appreciate that so much. I think that's so fucking cool when you can tell a story with song. Like, that shit's sick. So that's a huge point for me. But there's other points too. Like, there's other places where sound meets visuals for me. Music videos themselves, like music videos, huge. They're not as huge now, I feel like, or as popular. Like, we don't got TRL, we don't got 106 in Park. You know, there's not that emphasis anymore. There's the VMAs still, but that's it. Like, there's nowhere that's really highlighting music videos. It's weird, like on TV.
Right, because they're still prevalent, and like people still make them, and they're still popular. Like, people like a good music video, but like you said, there's just no. Right, exactly. You know, like, but like, you know, like there's no like YouTube show like a TRL or a 106 in Park or like an MTV Jams, you know, like there's nothing like that anymore. And like it's just like strange, because like an artist can just like put out a video and people will just like come to that direct. Like, it's almost like something like that isn't, I don't want to say that it's not necessary, but it's just like there doesn't, I mean, yeah, I guess I'd say that like that middleman of like a TRL like is, yeah, it's weird. I'm having a hard time, but what are you trying to say?
It could do a lot. It could do a lot as far as leveling out the playing field. It's like how Kanye got broken in that way. Like, he bypassed the whole getting little broed by Rockefeller by jumping on TRL or whatever the hell that show was on MTV and being like, I'm me. So the public got to see your face and shit, you know. Otherwise, you're just a name and a title of a song and a little thumbnail.
A little box, yeah.
Easily get scrolled past, you know, like it's just interesting to see where it's all going and or to be a part of that journey.
Right.
There's also like I used to do this thing where I would go on YouTube or just like literally put on like a movie or something on the TV and try to sync music to it or play music to it or like look up dance videos, put it on mute, and then pick a whole different song and like almost for fun for me. Like I would do that sometimes, and I think that practice is like interesting because it's like DJing.
Right, with your body, like it's crazy.
Yeah.
Was there were there any specific artists you did that with? Because I did that with Michael Jackson. Like I had the like the greatest hits DVD of all the videos, and I would like do all the choreography as a kid and shit. You have anybody you do that type of shit with?
I would look up like 90s warehouse rave parties, like those people dancing, like where it was like a 2-hour like footage of like just a bunch of people dancing to the same song. So like and I would just play whatever I wanted, and I would slow it down. I would slow down the video because you could slow down videos on YouTube and stuff. So like I would slow down or pitch up depending, and it would like lock in sometimes, and it would just like look trippy. This is just for my own like self-soothing like things that I that I even do this. Like I'm not out here like sampling it or recording it. I should. It would be cool.
Yeah, why not? You know, that's hard, honestly. Like, regardless of whether you like incorporate that into your music, like that's just cool as hell. You know, like I'm just always really interested in like how other people like listen to and process music, because like that's why we're all here. You know, like it's connecting all of us through all of this. Like, so you know, like while all of this is happening for you, because like like I love this little like melange of just shit you have going on with your influences and just like the way you experience this stuff. Like, when did you decide you wanted to go from just like being a or not passive, but like just from like being like a listener to some, like, when did you decide you wanted to make music? Like, when was it time for that?
I was like 17, 18. I had just graduated high school and I was working full-time at a daycare. And I was obviously going to quit soon. And I didn't. I just joined the army.
Right.
And around that time, I got money from the army. I came back home after training. I bought a computer. I bought mics. I bought whatever it is that I needed to like make music. And I didn't really touch my mic or started recording myself until like a year or two after I like thought I got really good at making beats. And years later, I realized you just keep getting better and better, and you don't stop, like, or you just like learn different ways of doing it, and it gets easier, like, you know. But yeah, I decided around that time, and I was like, I didn't want to go to college because I didn't know what I wanted to study, so I wanted to enrich my life with music. and I did, and I ran with it, you know, like it just felt right. So I kind of became that like working artist trope for a bit, and that's been like my shit for a while. But now with this whole carpentry shit, like me thinking more business minded and like trying to be self-employed and become my own entity and company and shit.
Right.
That's tying in. Yeah. No, go on.
Finish your thought. I'm sorry.
No, but I was just that's just tying into more of who I am, and it's pushing me back towards music in a weird way.
Right. Yeah, because you mentioned that before, and like I was I guess I was gonna save it for later, but I feel like it's like, so like, yeah, like the carpentry thing. So like, what inspired you to kind of go after that trade? And also, you just said it, like, how did it inspire you to kind of come back and do this full circle thing with the music? I don't know why that came out so weird, but yeah.
It's like building stuff. That shit's like meditative. There's a lot of thought, a lot of intention that goes into it, very much like music. It's organic. Like, it's almost like to do great things, you can't really think about it, you just do them. Like, and like building, yes, there's like standards and shit of things that like, this has to be here, like you got to do shit right. But if you feel it, it's getting done right. If you do it the right, like, you know, like being in tune with something. You can't build something and have it be great if you're not in tune with it. Like, you can't build nothing, you can't make a song if you're not in tune, like, you know, all that. It ceases to be what it is supposed to be if you don't put that backing to it, that added like piece of yourself.
Yeah, like that soul, you know. Exactly,
the soul. Yeah, exactly, the soul. But yeah, I feel really happy about the things I'm learning, and for some reason that happiness is feeding back into my desire to create, like, because I'm already creating. I'm like building shit with my hands and like using my hands and like doing cool stuff I haven't really done ever.
Right.
And it's re-inspiring me to like just keep creating and like refine my other crafts, which are music and like visuals and like directing and storytelling and all that. Writing.
Did you play with a lot of like building toys growing up? Like, were you big into like Legos and stuff? Like, okay, yeah, like that's like, cause like,
not at all.
cause like, what?
I would build like sticks out of sticks and stones, like weird mud little ritual like pedestals and things like that.
I mean, that counts.
Yeah.
You know,
that's all.
Yeah, I think I just think that, like, you know, you kind of said it already, but that all comes together because it's all about building, you know, like you can have the math and the science behind it and like make something that looks cool, or make something that functions, you know, like that like does its thing. Like, you can make a desk, you can make a chair, you can make a bed frame, you know, type shit. But like,
I can make a beat.
Exactly, you can make a beat. There you go. You know, like, so like, but like, you know, you can have the science and the math behind it, but if you aren't in tune with yourself and really give it that thing that's like, this is me in there, it's like, it's just a desk, it's just a beat, it's just a bed frame, you know. And like, finding that moment, finding that spark is just like, that's just like, that's a feeling is indescribable, you know. It's just, it's indescribable.
Yeah.
So, you know, like, so you decide that you wanted, so you decide at that point that you wanted to make music. And, you know, like, you're from Buffalo, and and I feel like a lot of people now are just starting to realize, like, y'all have a really rich musical lineage out in Buffalo that like people kind of took for granted for a very long time. I feel like most people don't even realize that Rick James is from out there, which is crazy because he's fucking Rick James. But like,
he talks about it.
Right, exactly. And you know, and you know, like, and of course, you know, like, Griselda's been going crazy for the last like 7 years, and they're like at a point now where people are like, oh, this is Buffalo, and like Che Noir and Love the Genius and all of them, you know, like just all the people in that area. But like, you know, like, while you were first kind of establishing yourself as an artist and like kind of finding your sound, what how would you describe like the music scene in Buffalo? Like, was there like a scene that you were tapped into, or were you just like doing your own thing?
No, it was definitely a scene that I was tapped into. A very deep, it's almost like Atlanta before Atlanta got discovered as like a hub. Ooh. You know, like very underground, and I would say smaller because Atlanta is way bigger than Buffalo, but like, I don't even know how to describe it. There was like quite a few. There's like, and I don't know if a lot of them still, you know, do this shit anymore. You know, a lot of them, not really. People just move away from Buffalo. It's too cold in the winter. It's like, you know, it's hard to find the inspiration to create in the winter. And yeah, around that time, there was this like only like 2 or 3 venues that really supported hip hop too, because of like racist, weird, like ownership and shit like that. And like, people associate hip hop crowds with like guns, violence, which just sweeps over like all of Buffalo regardless of what is happening. You know, it's not like hip hop fucking ramps it up. But yeah, it's had its history, and like it stays here. It's weird, and the people that leave and make it, they never really come back and like add to it. So I think it always stays in this like tiny little self-contained bubble, that because of Griselda now coming back and repping it hard, finally, like somebody is not afraid to say they're from Buffalo, you know. And now we're getting the attention. Now executives and A&Rs are probably like trying to like do some shit. Like, look, okay, what's underneath this? What's going on over here?
Right.
Which is already happening. And it's like funny because the people that stuck around and stayed down and like are still making music, they're reaping from like that. They're benefiting from like having stayed down. Like they're making the right decisions right now. They're making the right moves. They're like, and it's cool because like, why not capitalize on something like that? Like when you got that spotlight on you, it's only a matter of time before it turns, you know. Like they're literally watching Buffalo as a stage because a huge rapper right now fucking wears it on his back like a goddamn, you know, like color. Like he reps it, and so people are forced to look over here and see what else is abound. And I think that's fucking awesome. We've been saying this, we've been talking about this shit because we've known about West Side Gun before the world knew about him. Like he was pushing his shit heavy all up and down the East Coast, all over, you know. Like, so we heard the name, we knew about Benny, we knew about these rappers from our town that were like, you know, doing it. And then they took that shit, like they just went crazy with it. And we knew like before that happened, we're like, yo, or like around the time when it started getting crazy, we were like, this is insane. This is gonna mean a lot to the community. This is gonna mean a lot for us. Like we should be consistently like going in right now. And I think that definitely lit a fire into people's asses. And then kind of like, and then COVID happened.
Right.
Like, you know, and then like we were on it was like a run. Like people were throwing shows, like DIY. We're very DIY out here. So like when we don't get booked for shows, it's not like there's not bookers at venues and stuff, you know. We book our own shows, we do our own festivals, etc., things like that. So a lot of that shit was happening in the community. And yeah, it kind of like that shit broke everything up, like people's connectivity and how they're communicating and moving and planning these events and shit. And like, I don't know, but yeah, Buffalo's, and not even just hip-hop, Buffalo has a fucking weird ass just music scene in general, like weird ass music, which I love. So there's always something for someone out here somewhere.
Right. You know, like that's one of the things I've like really loved and appreciated about like digging into your music and like seeing what you and Wavy have been doing, and just like all this other shit. So like before we move on, like what's something unique about Buffalo as a place for music that you feel people don't really understand or appreciate? Because it seems like there's quite a few things, but like if you had to pick like one thing, like what would that be?
I want to say how close we are to New York City, and the fact that we're not in New York City, and like it wouldn't make a difference to someone that's outside of New York whether we said we're from Buffalo or New York City. They're just gonna assume we're from New York City because they don't know.
Facts.
They don't know what a Buffalo is, you know. So a lot of people would just assume. I tell them I'm from New York. They're like, "Oh, you from the city? Yeah, okay, you fucking big shot," you know. So, but we're Buffalo, so we never grew up with that kind of shit. It's Buffalo. It's a big ass city. Like it's the second largest city in the state of New York.
Right.
But because there's I don't even know how many people we have, but not a lot, like for the size of the city. So it feels like a town. It feels like smaller than what it's supposed to. So we didn't grow up with that like kind of mentality that people in New York City grow up with, because we didn't need that. We had the winter. The winter was our enemy. Like, you know, the summer is like, you know, running wild. That was kind of the enemy growing up and shit, like gangs and shit like that. Like shit that happens out of boredom and like misguidedness and poverty and shit. That's what we dealt with out here. So drugs, like, you know, racism, like just I don't know. It makes you, being out here makes you think more critically of actual situations instead of just like reacting. Like you have time to think before you react out here. And which helps you assess people's characters. Like, if you're out here moving crazy, I can't imagine how you would move in New York City. You would not survive out there. You would fucking be like, like just scared out of your mind if you can't even handle it out here. It's so chill out here. Where people get caught up with the boredom out here too. Like, I don't know. If you're an artist out here, there's a couple things to appreciate. There's a couple things that, you know, can lead you amiss, because it's hard to find inspiration out here. But when you find it, it's like really easy to hold on to it because there's less distractions out here.
Right.
So it's a cool place to create if you can find the inspiration.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's like one thing I've always, like, you know, like since I first tapped into you, when you and Wavy put out one of your first projects, like your music is so versatile. Like you just go all over the place, and just like you know, just like everything from, like, you know, like Solange on Acid, 30 Wives, and Leaky Faucet all sound like those are three like completely different kinds of songs, you know? And just like listening to those three back to back to back is just like it feels, you know, like I feel you in there, but it's just like these three different versions of, well, not necessarily three different versions of yourself, but you presented in three different ways type shit. And like, there aren't very many people I can think of, especially artists, who can like do that and not have it feel like forced, you know, like it just feels like an extension of you, you know?
That's cool.
And,
That's
you know,
cool.
Of course. And then, you know, you go listen to like Yeehaw, which is basically just like 3 songs worth of shoegaze. And I'm like, wow, like this is just like, you know, it's just been a pleasure going through and like digging through all your stuff again. So just like when you're creating music, like just like walk me through like how does Chango4 make a song? Like
I black out and then I hit record. I don't really think, unless I'm like writing, unless I want to write a good hook, or like unless I want to make this like popular. Like I try to have fun with making music, because if it becomes stressful, then that's where you get your forced sounding shit. And I never ever 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 want to come across as that forced, like contrived. It's a really, I don't know, because that's not what, when I listen to music, I don't want to feel like I'm being forced or like that uncomfortable energy coming off of it. And I feel like music is very potent. It's a very potent tool to like project energy outwards.
Mm-hmm.
So I try to have as much fun as possible, because that's what I want to have reflected. I make a lot of sad music though, so that's a different way. That's just me releasing and like transmuting basically through that song. So I tend to make like either really sad music or really like confident, like high energy braggadocio shit, like where I'm just like trying to, yeah. I like concepts though. I want to be able to have a song where I'm like storytelling and word playing and like doing things kind of like a la Frank Ocean. But yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that shit's like, I could see you doing it, and like I'm kind of surprised you haven't, honestly. Like that seems like something you might have done a while ago already, but like
yeah.
I
would like to just get better at an instrument before I get into that realm, I guess, of
that's
like
fair.
songwriting and storytelling and singer-songwriting kind of shit. But yeah.
Do you feel like those two things like go together in a way that like do you feel like having some sort of experience with an instrument would make it easier to do something like that? Because that's interesting. I've never really thought about that before.
Yeah, because sorry.
No, you're good. Take your time.
Sorry. The question was, do I think what?
Do you think do you feel like knowing how to play an instrument makes it easier to make those types of songs?
Yes, because for me, I'm tactile. Like I really like to be able to control something with my hands instantly. I don't want to have to wait for a computer to load a song. I don't want to have to, it's too many steps. I like to cut out the amount of steps in the songwriting process that I need to take, because it leads me that much closer to the feeling of it. At least like it pushes me closer to the feeling of the song when you cut out the steps in the process. And I think when you're able to either play on a guitar or a piano, you can switch up the speed of it. You can switch up the tempo with your hands. You could switch up the chords with your hands. You don't have to click and drag something. You don't have, like, so to be able to arrange and songwrite at the same time, basically, I think that's the best way to do it. I just personally I'm not well practiced on a piano. I don't have one of my own, but like when I get one, I think I want to do that. I want to get really fucking good at moving around on a piano so that I'm able to songwrite on it, like straight on a piano, like how I've seen like some of my favorite artists do before. I want to be able to do it that, and I think that's traditional, and I like that traditional kind of shit. Right. Like, so yeah.
I feel it. Nah, that's a really good answer. And like I've been it's crazy you bring that up, because I've been reading the Jay Dilla book, Dan Charnas's Dilla Time, which is first off, amazing book. Everybody go read it. Go buy it, give him the money. But like it spends like he spends so much time breaking down how Dilla managed to turn the MPC into an instrument, and just like how like it goes beyond just like, oh, Dilla didn't quantize. And it's just like he like there was like a very specific math and science to how he arranged samples and drums, and how like he would do all the timing himself. And he was just like an alchemist with that thing. And like he really turned it into an instrument in ways that made people like, there's a section in the book where Questlove is talking about how, because like Questlove is like one of the most famous drummers on the planet, and he's been trained and does all. He was like he said that listening to Dilla's drum programming made him force himself to learn how to play sloppy, and how to like not necessarily
on the actual drums.
On the actual drums, like like that's like it just completely. Just like to see someone completely rewire the way they learned how to play because somebody's that good. And like D'Angelo said the same thing. And like all the people in the Soulquarians were like, he got us to learn how to drag a little bit. He got us to learn how to like not necessarily be on the 1, 2, 3, 4, like on like, like just like and like the book is full of like music theory, and like it breaks it down on like the most academic but not boring level imaginable. So just like I'm just like so intrigued by stuff like that, and just like how and just like how to get back to your point, like how mastering an instrument, whether it's a guitar or a piano or a drum machine, like how that can just completely inform the way you write songs. Like that's special. It's special. And I think I agree. As somebody who plays a handful of instruments or has played a handful of instruments in the past, like, it definitely helps. It doesn't hurt for sure, but yeah. But I want to, before we kind of start to wrap this up, I can't not ask about the music that you and Wavy have been making for a while. Like for anybody who doesn't know, like Chango and Way Too Wavy Baby have a bunch of music together. It's all really good. That was the first thing that I had really tapped in with. Like Hat Trick is my favorite song ever. I love that song. To this day, I still bump it. I still tell people
That's
about
sick.
it. That shit is my favorite.
Of
course. Like I you sent me the album. I remember, I'll never forget it. You sent me the album and I listened to it and I was like, this is hard. And I've been here ever since. So
That's awesome.
talk to me about, when did y'all first meet? And what's your favorite part of making music together? What attracted you to making music with Wavy?
We met like several years ago. I would say like 3 years ago, maybe. Yeah, around. Wow, that's crazy.
Right?
Yeah, wow. Saying that is wild. But we met around that time, definitely like a year prior to like everything. And I knew she was an artist of some sort. Like it was, so I had just moved back from New York City. Like, and I was living here for like, I want to say like a year and a half, maybe 2 years. And then I started going back out to the scene, and the scene had completely changed. So what I was telling you about earlier, where there was like certain people in the scene, some of them stopped, the younger generation picked up where they left off, and like, you know, just took off. And that's basically what was happening. And like, I hadn't really gone out and like seen people perform or nothing. Like I hadn't seen no shows, nothing. And I started going out one summer and like had seen Wavy, and she had like lime green hair. And I was just like, what the fuck? She looks fire. Like, you know, she must be an artist. And started digging around a little bit more. And like our mutual friend Short, who's also a rapper, like he would we would all hang out together, and like, you know, they had some music together, which was like sick. And her style was like just different, like rap, like, but like with so much confidence. Like it's really cool. And the way she sang was like, I don't know, I like how she brought an element of pop to rap for me in my eyes. And I'm just like, that's fucking sick. Nobody's really doing this shit, you know, in Buffalo. And yeah. So there's this producer, Schwebs, from out here, had put out a feeler on Twitter, like, who wants to get it? Like, she posted a snippet and she was like, who wants to get on this beat I just made? Blah, blah, blah. Wavy and I both respectively answered, and she was like, bam, I'll send you both the song and maybe y'all can both get on it. So I listened to my shit and I had messaged her and I was like, hey, let's work on it. Maybe I can get us a session with my friends, CBSM, who's like a producer duo. They produce Planet Nine. And so that's Scream Maker and College Boy, CBSM.
Shout out to them.
Yeah, hell yeah. And I was sessioning with them solo, like I was gonna start like this, I guess, a solo project with them, you know. And I was like, yeah, I'm gonna do this, but like not really. But then met Wavy, had this beat, had this song idea. She had written her part, I had written my shit, like and so the song is called Actions. It's a really cool song. I like it. I had asked her, do you want to do this? Do you want to have a session with CBSM and record it there maybe? And she said, I've never recorded with anybody. I record alone. I record myself. I'm like, okay, well, like, let's go. Let's do this though. Come. And she was like, okay. So she was a little nervous and I knew that. And so I tried to make it, you know, comfortable and relaxed and shit. And, you know, we recorded the song. We recorded our parts really nice. Boom, boom, boom. It was cool. And then I continued on. You know, we had the song, got released, whatever. It was on the producer's project. We were just like featured artists on her beat. And so basically after that, I continued to go to my solo sessions with CBSM, and there was this song, and it was the See Me Drifting off of Planet Nine.
Right.
And I had done it not with Wavy in mind, but throughout the session I'm like, I can hear Wavy on this, like I can hear her on this. So like we sent her the beat, and the next session I ended up having with them was our session. It was Wavy included, and we did that, and we did another song together. So we were just like got in the habit of like recording like songs for this could be project, which ended up fucking organically flowing into what Planet Nine became. And we had like, I want to say we had like at least 5 or 6, 7 official like recording sessions for that project over the span of like 7, 8, 9 months or something like that. maybe less than that. I think it was like 6 months. And then we dropped it on my birthday like 2 years ago. And
just about.
Yeah. And yeah, we've been making music ever since. So like in that time span that we had dropped it, like in that year, we went and made music with Shlomo DJ in California. We fucking
shout out to
made
Shlomo.
some music with a couple cool producers in LA while we were out there. We continue to make music with CBS, and we've been on kind of a hiatus. Everybody's been doing their own thing and like trying to, be in themselves and like really work on themselves. So it's been hard to get a group together, a solid group, and record. But what we've been doing on our end is like we've been recording at home, recording on our phones, like doing it how you got to do it, like, which is how I've done a couple of my singles already, and Wavy's put out some singles too. So we're just like keeping the ball rolling. We're also focusing on a music video. Like we're focusing on a single release that's gonna possibly be out in like June, like the beginning of the summer, basically. So we're working on an entire drop for that, like merch and like visuals and all that. So I'm excited.
Wow.
Finally, like
that's incredible, like just like with somebody that you've only known for like a handful of years, to just kind of like find somebody who really like gets you on that musical level is just like incredible to see. And like listening to Planet Nine in particular and like all the stuff that you put out since is just like you can tell when two people just kind of like click together. Y'all definitely click together. And seeing you perform, I mean, like I haven't seen you perform live, but like seeing y'all talk about performing live and just like it's just like the outfit fucking coordination and shit is just like really, really hard, like that's
it's important.
Every time it's so important, and I'll just say that like your music is tough. I like it a lot. And yeah, of course. it's just been cool to see you two both together and apart just kind of like grow these last couple of years. And the very, very last question I want to ask you is like, like we live and make music and operate in a time where like genre blending is more common than ever. Like it's almost become like a standard for a lot of people, which I think is pretty cool when it's done well. But like
exactly, I was just gonna say when it's done well.
When it always got to hit that qualifier. But like as an artist who does dabble in so many different, not even just genres of music, but just like different different mediums between music and film and movies and carpentry, like you do so much. Like you're really you're kind of developing into like a multi hyphenate or whatever the fuck they call people nowadays. Like what's your I wrote this in a strange way, so I'm gonna try to like rearrange it, but like what do you think is the most beneficial thing about jumping between and even combining different artistic mediums, if that makes sense?
It does. Yeah. It's kind of my practice. I only like to hang out in this interdisciplinary corners, like where the two things meet is where the possibilities are endless for me. Like,
right.
That's why for me film goes hand in hand with sound, music in that sense. That's why dance and like language for me goes hand in hand, because I've seen people speak and be able to tell stories through movement, and I think that's fucking powerful. Like the ballet, like that shit is sick. What else? Like just that interdisciplinary moment that takes place is like a really cool space to be in. It's like sacred almost. So I think that more people should be focused on that instead of trying to hit it on the nose and be like, I'm this only. It's like so binary thinking to be like that. It's almost best to err on the side of like possibilities are like, why not? Why would you want a limited set of possibilities?
Right.
Like, I don't know. So yeah, I like that trip. I like that little space. It's cool.
Yeah, I feel it. You know, I think I personally think there's value in both, but how do I want to put this? It's more impressive to me a lot of the time when people are able to like combine them in a way that just like feels good. It's almost like here we go. It's like watching someone do a trick at the circus with the safety net versus without the safety net. You know,
Yeah.
like the risk is bigger, but so are the rewards type shit, you know? Exactly. And that's I think so I get where you're coming from. And I think that, you know, obviously there's plenty of value in moving between all sorts of different genres and just like mediums, forget just genres, but just like mediums in general. And there are so many people like all across music and art who do that now, and it just makes me happy to see. I'm just happy for people, you know, like yourself, and people, even people like somebody like Tyler, the creator, who like he's somebody who just, he's completely fearless when it comes to that, and he's always been that fearless. So seeing people like him and people like Doja Cat and people like Meg Thee Stallion and just like people, even people like Griselda, you know, because like they have, you know, like they have their hands in, you know, like art and movies and all, like that's just like like if you want to, you can, I don't want to say you can do it all, but like you can do everything you want. You don't have to just be one thing. If you want to be one thing, cool. But you don't have to just be one thing. You can be 4 things, and that can be fine. Like,
yo, yes, because before it wasn't. It's very rigid thinking, and
right,
just people wanting to oppose you or whatever, you know, because I don't know. I think people stopped caring what others were expecting of them. Like that's more of a popular thing to practice now, like not caring what people's expectations of you are, just like living in your truth and being happy about it. Like, so I think that's where that positive shift took place, like in that coming to that idea. Thank God.
like, facts. And like, and yeah, I like the word you used before, binary, because yeah, like it is very rigid and strict, and it doesn't have to be rigid and strict, you know, like it's just, you know, like everything, like gender, like sexuality, it's all a binary. There's no, it's just like you just do what you feel and make it cool. You know, like that's it exactly, you know, like it's like, you know, like that means a lot for me, because you know that's something that I've been kind of exploring a lot within myself, and a lot of people are, and it's just great and beautiful, and it's just good things. I don't have any more questions. That's it for formal questions, but just like thank you for real. Like this was so tight. Like
cool. Awesome.
Yeah,
I'm glad it went well.
Yeah, no, you know, and yeah, like for the record, like you were one of the first people who reached out to me and told me that this was a cool idea when I first started this. So like I just had to like let people know that like you know, you've been riding for this since the beginning, and I'm sorry this took so long to happen.
No,
like
I wanted you to get your feet wet.
Hey man. No.
This is cool.
Oh, I'm happy. No, we had to make it special because yeah, it's been a long time coming. So just like thank you for taking the time, for real. Like
I appreciate it. I appreciate the invite.
Awesome. Oh, of course.
Like,
thanks for listening. Shout out to y'all for making it this far. And shout out to all the Black people listening too, because y'all really impeccable. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and tell a friend to come through next time. 1.